Hey Team Elevated, your time is valuable to me, so I've placed timestamps/chapters of this video down in the video description, along with down in the pinned comment of the comment section. Use that to jump straight to where you're looking to be in this video. Also, if you don't have a Fluora and you're looking to purchase one and you decide that it might be for you, I highly encourage you to use my affiliate link, which you can also find in both of those places. Hey team, so when you get your Fluora, it does come in two boxes, at least as of 2026. The long box has the stems and the smaller box has the base. The base is pretty heavy. The stems, the packaging, it comes exactly like as you see right here, which is surprising because if this was to get cut in transit or punctured, it would probably end up nicking and damaging the stem. The packaging for the base, however, that came really solid. It comes with this thing on here. I'm gonna get this base out first and start there and get this thing put together. Are you guys seeing the same thing that I'm seeing? This is the first generation Fluora from the Kickstarter, and then this is the one that I got in December of 2025, but this video is coming out in 2026 in January. I could swear that this pot is not as white as this pot. I don't know if it's gonna come through on the video or not. The second thing is on the newer pot, there are ridges, at least in person. There's ridges here, and I can feel these ridges as well. One here, and then the other ridge is here. But on the Kickstarter, there's no ridges, it's very smooth. I think the pot is made, I think the pot from the first generation, the Kickstarter was well made. And then here, I don't know, this kind of feels a little rushed with the indented line. And it does go all the way around. If I was to turn the pot on the latest generation, the line goes all the way. Both of these lines go parallel to each other and all the way around the pot. You just don't get that on here. I prefer the color. I like this more of a pure white compared to this off egg white. Anyway, back up top. Inside of the smaller box where the base is located, you do have your fake moss. You've got the instruction booklet, which we don't need because I've set up several of these Fluora plants. And then you've got your power cord. The next thing that I would do is not install the stems, but instead let's hop into the Fluora app and make sure that we can actually pair to this device. Seconds. So press and hold this. Okay. I believe the LEDs would probably be flashing blue if they were installed. Yeah, there it is. Floor. Connect. Okay, it's found it. So once you put in your Wi-Fi credentials, we're kind of having a classic Fluora moment here. This has been typical for me whenever I've hooked these up. They can take some time to connect. Sometimes they fail and then I have to try again. So if you see this, it's technically not abnormal to see something like this. It's probably gonna fail here shortly and then I'll try again. I will say that something I forgot to mention is my Wi-Fi has actually seen it. It's seen it connect to the network. I'll show you guys what I mean. So Fluora is using an ESP board and you guys can see right there. It'll adjust. Yeah, the ESP32-Delta 2020. So yeah, it's on the Wi-Fi. It's just not really showing up with the Fluora app right now. I may just close this thing out, clear the cache, and then open it back up. Yeah, so that's exactly what did the trick for the Fluora plant. In fact, when I open it back up, it automatically has an update. So we'll go ahead and do the update. And probably end up having to wait I would assume about 2 to 3 minutes for this to update. So we'll fast forward and come back to this. Okay, this is great news. We are in, and we are on the latest update. So now let's get our stems installed. The hardest part about installing the stems is getting the stems out of the styrofoam that comes wrapped in this in 3 different layers. And the reason I say that that's the hardest part is because these stems, they are alphabetized. So you just simply match the letter that's on the stem to the letter that's on the base. So here we've got E, we've got D, and so on. So let's do that now. I do want to point out that before I installed the stems, I did unplug power. I don't know if you necessarily have to do that, but I feel a lot more comfortable doing it that way. Now I've got every letter matched from the stem on the base, but I also want to point out that these don't necessarily go in a particular order. For example, I could take the base of this stem, which has a square block on it, and then I could turn it and put it in, well, I say that. Let's try it the other way. There we go. Okay, so now I've got to turn that way. We turn it another 90 degrees. And you can play around with that because it will move where the leaves will go in right here. So mess around with it and see what you're thinking. But yeah, as you move this 90 degrees to try different sides of this square block that gets inserted into the base down here after you plug it in, of course, it will move the leaves around accordingly. So feel free to mess around with it because in my opinion, I don't think that these necessarily go in any particular way inside of the square block down here. I've done a lot of these and I've never had any hangups doing it this way. Now let's get the leaves installed. I have half of the leaves installed and I want to point something out. I still don't have power connected up just yet. And the leaves that are on the bottom of the box, well, really depending upon which way you decide to open this box, but for me, this last round of leaves here, I would really recommend you guys check the bottom of your leaf to make sure that it's not scratched. And the reason why is because there's nothing protecting this. If something pierces the bottom of the box, it could potentially scratch the leaf. So FYI, check your leaves. Let's get back to installing these things. By the way, these just click in. It couldn't possibly be any simpler. And as you can tell, this plant has not been fluffed, and I'm gonna put that word in air quotes here. And the reason why I say that is I haven't bent any of the stems because these stems are bendable. It is not like the Fluora Mini, which I'll show you guys in here. It's not like the Fluora Mini where it automatically comes bent, and you really should not bend these on the Fluora Mini. On the regular Fluora, the big Fluora, these are bendable. But the reason why I haven't bent these is because I don't want to bend them or fluff this until I get it in the area that I'm going to be installing it at. Here's why. Look at this Fluora. A lot of these I don't want slamming into the wall back here, right? I don't want this blossoming out in a 360 degrees because it'll end up hitting the wall or it'll end up getting scratched up against the rocks over here on this side. So be mindful of that when you are setting yours up and you're installing your stems and you're installing your leaves on here. In my opinion, personally, I would not bend these stems until you know exactly where you're gonna have it, and then you can kind of measure it and fine tune everything. Okay, so we have every single leaf clicked in and installed, and these leaves are very self-explanatory for install. It's just a 3.5 millimeter headphone jack. So if you've ever installed a headphone jack on anything, then you know exactly how to put these leaves in. Let's go ahead and get this powered up and see if we have any leaves that are not working that we might need to adjust and fine tune. Yeah, we need to count these just to make sure that this is working properly. Yeah, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. Is my math correct on that? It's hard to see this from the camera. I might be off a leaf or two. But this looks like it is working. We've got every leaf lighting up. Computer, turn off Denver and Colorado. Yeah, let's not get sidetracked by the other lights that were on in the background. Dude, yeah, these are all working just fine. So the reason that I tell you guys to check these just to make sure that they're working is because I have had a leaf or two not work in previous Floras, And that's not a big deal. Sometimes it might just need an adjustment where you have to remove it and put it back in. Sometimes it has to be turned just slightly, like 1 degree or 2 degrees for the communication to work properly through the stem. Other times I had to unplug the stem and plug it back in, which is not a big deal because those just clip in down here. I think we're good to go. All right, let's go get this thing set up where I'm gonna put it. I'm gonna actually put it here in the dining room. I'm gonna replace my original Fluora from when I was a backer. And I'm gonna put this next to the fireplace. And then we'll put our moss in there and just do some little B-roll action. I like it. Well, team, that is a wrap. The new Fluora is now over here next to the flamingo. I gotta add the moss in there, but she is good to go. Over here, I have had to update to the new board that they're using. Got the old moss. That's actually the original Fluora plant, and I don't know if you guys can tell out in the garage. Computer, turn on the garage. So out here, we've got the old board that they were using. So yeah, that's a wrap.